After Hours.
On this episode of the History of the Course After Hours podcast, we discuss the band from California known as Touché Amoré. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show, leave us a 5-star review, and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. Make sure to check us out on TikTok and give us a follow at IsSurvivedByProductions. And if you'd like to see us do some live streams, leave us a comment or tweet us the keyword stream. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta, army surrounded.
Welcome back to the History of the Course After Hours podcast, where each and every episode, I, Curtis, sit down with my good friend and avid listener to the History of the Course podcast, Erik. How's it going, Erik?
My name Erik.
What's up, man?
Name, rank, serial number.
Name, rank, serial number,
My
buddy.
name Erik. 123 Moon.
He has a bracelet that has his home address on it. He's already at that point in life. No.
I had the days of the week on my underwear.
Dude, what about this weather, man?
It's pretty nice today.
We're about to get some really nice weather this week.
Finally.
Finally.
I can wear my, long sleeve band t-shirts that I, for some reason, live in Oklahoma and bought. I don't know.
Without judgment.
Yes.
That's the other thing, too, is like, all right, like I bought a hoodie the other day, try to get ahead of it, because I know they're going to sell out, right? And so it's like, okay, I'm going to buy this, but I can't really wear it.
But I'm so excited to wear it.
But I'm excited to wear it.
So it's 85 degrees and I'm running around in my hoodie.
Exactly. So I'm going to run around out there and people are going to look at me weird. And then they're probably going to think I'm some weird emo kid because I got long sleeves on in the middle of August and September. So, that's the life.
We are called the elder emos at this
We are
point.
the elder emos.
Yes, we still wear Vans, but we put insoles in them now.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. Instead of putting stickers all over my laptop, I put stickers all over my cane.
There you go.
Nice. Cool. Well, I got a question for you, Erik.
Well, this is early.
So, and me and Josh talked about this before on an episode. Do you feel that, speaking of when we were in high school, living that emo life, do you feel that when we were in high school, bands that we liked, like an Under Oath or Norma Jean or Silverstein, such like that, those bands didn't seem to come to Oklahoma on tour?
For me, it's a little hard to tell. Back then, I didn't have any money. So I really tried not to get excited about bands coming to town.
Right.
Because I was like, well, even they came to town. I work for $7.25 an hour. I can't afford to go. So, anyway, but in short, though, yes, I do think they kind of skip Oklahoma.
We feel like we're getting to the point, though, now where a lot of those bands are starting to come through.
Some are, but some aren't. I was looking through some of the, more recent ones, like our shows that we're doing here.
Right.
And He Is Legend announced a tour here in the last, week or so.
Really? That's coming through Oklahoma?
No.
Oh.
Skipping right over it. I think they literally actually go from somewhere in Texas and they hop up to, I think it was Arizona or something like that.
Yeah.
So it just hops right past us. And then we got Touché Amoré is out on tour and they stop. I think it's in Austin.
Yeah, I don't understand because some of these bands, they'll be a lot of them go to Texas. They love Texas. Some of them might go to New Mexico or Colorado, Arkansas, Kansas, but it's nobody wants to come through Oklahoma. I don't understand what the deal is. I mean, if it's a deal, it's well, you're the Bible Belt and blah, blah, blah. It's yeah, but I mean, Kansas is a part of that too, and there's a lot of conservatives in Texas too, so what are you doing down there, I don't know. I don't understand it. We have more than just, farms here.
Yeah.
If you want to go for flatlands, go to Kansas, man. We actually have some hills and mountains.
Yeah, I've been to Kansas. They got one hill. They call it Lawrence, Kansas.
There you go.
And they put a college right on top of this one
Right
hill
on
in the
top
entire
of it.
state.
Yeah, it's interesting to me looking back, and I remember thinking, man, I would love to go see, such and such band, but it's like they never come. And then you'd be waiting for those tour announcements, and you look, and yeah, it'd be like, Little Rock, Arkansas, Austin, Texas, and then they're in California. What the heck, man?
Yep. Like when Silverstein, the first time I saw them pop up when I actually had money in hand, I think it was like 2016 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like, I saw them like the day after the Ghost EP came out. So whatever that was, I can't remember. But anyway, I got a whole bunch of buddies together and like, let's go to Texas right now. Let's go. So for a month we planned, let's go to Texas, and, everybody splits the gas and all that mess because they weren't coming to Oklahoma much then.
Right.
So
That's the unfortunate thing. Sometimes you just got to pack up and head to where they actually are. And,
yeah.
I mean, it could make for a nice road trip, but it's just like, but I wanted y'all to come here, to the venues that I know.
Yeah.
But,
good old Vanguard. Get me some Kane's Ballroom action.
yeah, exactly, man.
I mean, good stuff. Why can't we just have that here?
Why can't we have good things, man?
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about the band that we got on tap here, Eric. Today we're talking about a little band known as Touché Amore. You can't see it, but I'm doing the Italian.
Amore.
I'm doing the Italian hand here. Yes, I always think of what was his name that sang that? Wow. And I know Josh is on. I know because this is one of Josh's favorites, and he's on the other end of the line, screaming right now, man. And I'm gonna get ripped for this one. I'll come back to that one. Even though we're two guys that have two laptops right in front of us right now, Eric, would you mind looking that up for me while I continue on here? Because I know I'm gonna hear from Josh later on, but my mind is elsewhere. So yeah, we're talking about Touché Amoré, a little band from California. Wanted to start off with a quote from NPR. Did you come up with it? What's the answer?
The answer is no internet.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. No internet. Yeah, that probably wouldn't have worked out too well. Frank Sinatra, by the way.
Oh, okay.
That just randomly came to me. I don't know why I thought of that name, but it's Frank Sinatra. So settle down, Josh. Just go scream in a pillow. I don't know.
It's okay. I get a pass. I'm uncultured swine.
Yeah, it's just... Anyway. So I want to start out with a quote from NPR about the band. It says, quote, "All about impact. Songs are short. The words are direct. And the band is forever on tour." I thought that part was pretty funny. I think that's a good representation. I think I started out the part one episode between me and Josh, I think, with that quote. Because I felt like that really summarized Touché Amoré pretty well. At least in terms of like the short songs, and we're going to talk a little more about song lengths later on. Their first half of their discography, that rings true. Start getting into like the last couple of albums, and the song lengths start getting a little bit longer, more than what you're used to off of albums like "To Be a Dead Horse" and "Parting the Sea Between Brightness and Me." Those have a lot of shorter songs, 1 minute to less than 2 minutes at least, minute to a minute and a half. So I think that's a good representation of that. Let's enough about me, Eric. Let's talk about you. And
You want to talk about me? You want to talk about
exactly? Oh my gosh, Frank Sinatra and country references. That's what we do on this here podcast. Eric, I want to know how you were introduced to the band Touché Amoré.
Pretty sure it was you.
I'm pretty sure I have a good idea.
I'm pretty sure it was like 2009 or 10.
Really? Okay.
I'm pretty sure we were still, kicking around in high school.
Okay. Must have been blacked out. passed out, something?
I mean, yeah,
Because I don't remember ever saying anything to you about Touché Amoré until just like recently.
yeah, I can remember you saying something about, you liking them quite a bit or something back then.
Yes.
So
Course,
it didn't really take. It's one of those that kind of like
I
back when
get
we used to
that.
talk about the Chariot, It's like, yeah, I see you guys really like the Chariot. Cool for you.
Hey, I'm going to go over here. Yeah, I think I could see putting Touché Amoré kind of in the same group of the Chariot. Not to the extreme extent that the Chariot is, but in being like, yeah, I mean, it's a band that I really enjoy, but I don't expect other people to be like, yeah, I agree with that. It's a really good band, To each his own, so... Yeah, I don't remember mentioning to you back then. So you said like 09, 10?
Probably.
So that'd be around...
You were trying to show me a lot of music back then, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
No, I have my 3 bands.
I was trying to take the shoes of Josh, trying to fit into those shoes. I think that was... I'm trying to remember what Parting the Sea was. I think Parting the Sea was 08, 09 maybe. Because I know Is Survived By was 13. So it would have to be because... Oh, no. Okay, so... It would have had to been after 2011 because Parting the Sea came out in 2011.
Well, maybe it was a little
And
later.
that's-
I was just thinking we were still like kicking around in high school,
Okay. Because that's where that was the first album that I got introduced to Touché Amoré. I didn't know anything about their first album, To Beat a Dead Horse, till later on after that. So it had to be around like 2011 or so. We'll say 10, 11.
Probably.
'Cause
That's a good guess.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a good time. It was a good time in life, man. Had no worries.
Thought we were
Just-
the kings of the world.
Yeah, exactly, man. We were just about to graduate high school, living off the highs, man. Yeah, cool. So, Eric, having familiarized yourself a little bit with Touché Amoré, a new listener comes up to you. They want to check out this band. How would you personally describe Touché Amoré to a new listener?
So, vocally, my granny would call the lyrical, well, the vocal content that he has there, hollering.
Okay.
Because it's not really, like screamo screams.
Yes.
It's not really, melodic vocals.
Right.
It's somewhere stuck in between.
See,
it's an odd place.
Yes, I've always had a problem of like trying to describe vocals like that because I'm the same way as like I'm not calling it screaming, but it's not melodic. Yeah, like singing or whatever. It's. I always say like yelling, but hollering's a good one.
Hollering.
I think I'm gonna take that one, man. That's a good way to put it. Hollering.
So, but I kind of like it. And then, at times that metal, he almost gets into that kind of metalcore feel with it, almost Chariot-like.
Okay.
A lot of times, actually, at the end of these albums, my streamer will stream on to the next thing, whatever it is.
On streamer.
And a lot of times it would end up being the Chariot
Okay.
in some fashion, some way.
Interesting. Okay.
And I didn't feel like it was such a huge departure either. It was like, oh, this feels good. It's a little heavier. It's a lot more chaotic for sure. But the musical section...
Touché or
Chariot's more
Oh,
chaotic.
okay. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, Touché is more chill musically.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's kind of I'm going to use my big word today, dichotomy.
Woo. Definition.
2 different things. So it's very different. There's
The
like
voice
a
worked
chasm.
well. Nice.
There's a chasm between them almost at times. Like
Okay.
his voice is very harsh and very emotional, and the music's just kind of happy and melodic almost. It's like,
Yes. Kind of a yin and a yang almost,
yeah,
man.
very
Yeah.
much. It's very different. I kind of like it though. It's I don't know. That's the best way. Like you said, it is a different kind of band entirely. It's hard to describe.
Right.
Put a thumb on it, hold it down.
Yeah, for sure. Which is always good. I mean, you want to be your own sound, your
And
own
they have
band.
their own
Yeah,
sound.
and they do. They definitely do. And the whole deal of the complementary yin and yang of where it's like he's kind of doing one thing with his vocals and then the guitars, the drums, everything like that is kind of doing something kind of opposite where it's more chilled out and he's kind of like really on edge, emotional, and hollering.
Super hollering.
That just, man, it's such a, it's, to me, it's like a fine line. You can destroy that, but it's a fine line to make it beautiful. And I feel like they do a great job of that. Some of those guitar tones, dude, that they come up with on those chill out parts, oh, so good, man. So
Yeah, I don't know
good.
what kind of equipment they use.
I don't know.
But it's a very warm, nice
Yes.
feeling.
Very nice.
It's not
feeling
like, you know, the
tones.
grungy. I mean, like the tones that the Chariot give.
Mm.
I mean, they're good tones in their own right, but it's a
Right.
whole different kind of band.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
because like I said, this is so much more chill, and like I said, it's kind of happy and melodic
Right.
throughout most of it, which is just very different, especially because vocally they are very similar.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
like you said, there is a knife's edge to balance there.
Right.
And I think they do it pretty well.
Yes, they are walking the tightrope, and they have good balance. That's
Yes.
for sure. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about his vocal style. Was there any more you would like to kind of expand upon that? Jeremy Baum's vocal style, where it's the combo of the spoken word and, to use your grandma's word, hollering combo.
I do tend to like it. Like I said, it's very emotional.
Yes,
So
he puts his heart into it. That's for sure.
110%.
I remember watching some interviews that he did earlier in their discography days. So again, probably around Parting the Sea, so like 2011, 2012 area, and his voice was just destroyed, and so you could tell that it's like early in his career he was putting it all out there every single night, and he didn't give a crap if he couldn't speak the next day, you know. So it was, and I respect that, you know. I mean, if you're gonna bleed for your art, you know, if you're gonna put it all out there on the line, now I would respect that, man.
Bob Seger, Turn the Page.
Mm-hmm.
Up there in the spotlight, you're a million miles away, giving every ounce of energy, you know.
Yep.
That's kind of what the live stuff I have seen, you know, videos of them.
Yes.
That is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Every ounce of energy.
Well, let's talk about that. I didn't even put that in my notes. I can't believe I didn't, but that's a good point you brought up. Tell me what you saw in some of the live sets that they did.
So I don't know if I looked at a whole set. I was just looking at little segments
That's fine.
of what
Yeah,
they've
that's-
done.
yeah.
But the live stuff, like you said, they are very much like they're in their art.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a million miles away because he's not detached from the crowd or
No,
anything either.
no,
He does
definitely
seem to be, you know, crowd interaction too.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like, you know, like that Bob Seger song talks about, you know, a million miles away. Forget about everything else in the world. We're just going to sit here and talk about, you know, whatever my song is today. And whether you're here or not, I don't care. I'm going to sing it the same.
Right.
No, he's not like that.
Right.
He is in it, but he is sharing it with you too.
Right.
And you're sharing in this, you know, musical bond or whatever you want to call it, you know. So
It's a connection.
it is a connection. And I feel like a good lead man, woman, child, whoever's leading the band,
Man, woman, or child.
whatever leads your band, but whoever is leading that band connects with that crowd really well.
Right.
And I feel like from the videos I did see, he makes a connection with that crowd too. So I would love to see them live. Too bad they skip Oklahoma.
Yeah, that would be a sick show to go see live. Oh, could you imagine going to see them and the Chariot together?
Oh, man.
There'd be a lot of people leaving in ambulances that night, probably, man.
Faces melted.
Woo! Holy cow, man. Cool. All right, so here comes your first trivia question, Eric. Are you ready?
Boy. Oh, boy, oh, boy.
It's like, oh, okay. All right. So it's a 50-50, okay? So I'm giving you a little help on this one. So it's a true or false question, okay? True or false? Vocalist Jeremy Baum wrote the lyrics for all of Touché Amoré songs but one. Is that true or false?
I believe that's true.
Very good, very good. I can't remember which song it was, but it's off of their first demo EP. Gosh, I wish I could remember. I don't even remember what that one's called. It may just be called Touché Amoré also. But it was a song off of there, and I believe their drummer that they started off with, and I can't remember his name either, I think he wrote the lyrics for that one. But yeah, other than that, Jeremy's wrote all of Touché Amoré's lyrics. So good job, Eric. 1 for 1 so far.
Woohoo! Yay me!
So good job, man. All right. Now I know we like to talk about this all the time. Eric, would you agree with me that we at the History of the Chorus podcast, the History of the Chorus After Hours podcast, and Is Survived by Productions all together enjoy a good split EP?
I think that's pretty darn true.
Well, let's talk about some of these split EPs that Touché Amoré did, because they have probably done the most out of any of the bands that we've talked about.
I've got
before.
7 names written down here.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking too. Yep, 7. I think Cancer Bats comes close.
Whew.
Theirs is a little bit different. See, theirs is a little bit different where several of theirs is like, they just have like one song from each band. So it's like,
Right, it's almost a collab type.
yeah, it's like, come on now. But you have, in Touché Amoré's discography splits, you have their split with Law Dispute, Make Do and Mend, Casket Lottery, Pianos Become the Teeth, Title Fight, Self-Defense Family, and Circa Survive. Is there a particular split EP out of that group that stuck out to you? Did you even get to listen to those before?
I actually went through and I found,
Okay.
I don't know if I found every song from every single one of them, but I found a couple of good playlists like on YouTube and whatnot that seemed to have 90% of it.
Yeah.
So I actually went through and listened to all the ones you mentioned there.
Okay. So is there one that really stuck out to you?
As cool as the name is, Pianos Become the Teeth was not really one of them.
That's fine. That's fine.
The band name is awesome.
Yes.
And from what I've actually seen of their, I went and kind of looked them up because they have a cool name.
Yeah.
I mean, that's step one.
That's a sick name.
That is really cool. So I kind of looked them up. Their stuff is okay by themselves.
Yeah.
Just as a whole, together with Touché Amoré, I don't feel like they were just like, knocking it out of the park.
Right.
But I do think Title Fight, I liked that. It was a pretty short one from what I found.
Yeah.
And then Circa Survive one, other than it was just a weird live stream type deal, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird, it's not an official like split EP that they released or whatever. Yeah, it was just some type of like collaboration with some YouTube group or whatever. But yeah, it's just, I think it was just 2 songs, right? One from each, and they were just covering each other's songs.
I did like that one, but then again, I'm a fan of Circa Survive anyway.
Yes, I love
it
Circa
felt pretty
Survive
good watching
too,
2 bands you like do the
yes.
thing.
Yeah,
That
and I
was
think they
pretty
both
good.
hit it out of the park, man.
Absolutely.
With the covers. Yeah, Title Fight. Have you heard of any of these bands besides Circa Survive, because you just said you did, but before you even went into this episode, had you heard any of those bands before?
No, but after letting one of the albums play through, then it kind of goes on a mix after that. And sometimes I'll let it play.
Yeah.
Just it helps me find new music that way.
Right.
I think it was Title Fight actually did show up on a couple of those mixes.
Okay.
And their stuff by itself is pretty good. I enjoy it.
Pretty good band, yeah. They're one of those that's like never really, they just kind of like floated below the surface. And I think they're still a band now. I could be wrong, but they're pretty good. I enjoyed them. I found them out, probably about the same time that I found Touché Amoré. Because that's when I found Title Fight and Pianos Become the Teeth and Law Dispute and stuff like that. Do you have a favorite? I may have already asked that. Do you have a favorite one out of that group?
As far as the songs that they did there?
Yeah. Let's just talk about Touché for the moment.
I can't even think of the name of it, but that I do remember watching that particular one and go, that's a pretty, like the split itself. I was like, that's pretty good. I like this one. It doesn't feel like a huge departure like some of them do.
Right.
Like their earlier ones, I think it was Law Dispute and Make Do and Men's. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one, their first one, it was almost kind of punky.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one there, Touché Amoré, was kind of heavier feeling than normal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, kind of like we talked about earlier, kind of getting more towards that Chariot vibes.
Right.
I mean, just a lot heavier with his vocals, which are already pretty heavy.
Right.
You just heavy up the musical section, and you got some pretty heavy, metalcore type stuff going on.
Okay.
And that's kind of what those first two, they felt like a departure from what they normally do.
Okay.
Which is good and bad, I guess.
Yeah.
But I just,
Maybe giving you a chance too to kind of experiment.
that's true.
Where it's like you don't have to commit a whole album to it, So
that is true.
Yeah.
Just those two I can remember, they felt a little different. Just as far as, Title Fight, I don't know, maybe it was the style of them and the style of Title Fight both just felt good together. They blend.
Yeah. I know with the Law Dispute one, they definitely did big collaboration on that. So, I mean, it wasn't just like, hey, here's our 2 songs, and then you guys got 2 songs, and we'll just throw them all together. It was a full-on collaboration on all 4 of those songs. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Something I wrote down there. Is it's basically felt like a collab.
Yes.
Because I was sitting there listening along, and I go, that's no longer, what's his name?
From Touche?
Touche, yeah.
Jeremy.
That's no longer Jeremy. Who is this?
Yeah.
And then I have to go, oh, that's from Law Dispute guy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm listening to one of the Law Dispute, and I go, wait a second.
Is it Jeremy?
We got Jeremy going now.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a back and forth quite a bit throughout that one. Like you said, not just one, collab. It was like, what was it, 4 of them on that one?
4 songs, yeah.
4 collabs all in one. It
Right,
almost felt
yeah,
like. So.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like that's
That being said, those were, enjoyable. I like those. But it was a departure from their normal.
Right.
When I'm feeling Touché Amoré, I'm not going to go, I want to listen to that split,
I'm going to go to the split, man. Now I'm going to listen to full album, right?
That usually I'm going to go for a full album.
Yeah.
That Law Dispute is, I'm going to go for the Law Dispute split. That's the one,
Right, yeah.
That's not really the way I feel most time when I'm like, I'm feeling some Touché today.
I hear you. Yeah.
So.
That's my favorite split out of their split discography.
You like that chainsaw punk?
Yeah, and I like Law Dispute. I'm not too big on their newer stuff because they really chilled out a lot, and it's just more about kind of like spoken word, Def Jam poetry time, and it's just like, I'm just not into that. I like their earlier stuff when it was very raw and much like Touché Amoré. It was in your face and it was heavy, and so. One of the things I think that really gravitates me to this split is where both these bands were at their time in their discography. They were both at their heaviest, I feel like, and so yeah, that's why I like that. The one that always gets me is self defense family split, and the band Self Defense Family. You never heard of them before, right?
No.
I had never heard of them either until I was doing notes for the original episode on the History of the Chorus podcast. Go check that out. And I remember looking them up on like Wikipedia and just going straight to like the members list, and it was like 20 members, and I'm like, what is happening? What is going on? So I started doing some research, and to make a long story short, this is a band that has interchanging members throughout their discography that just decide to come in and out whenever they want to. And at times you may have 5 people in the band. At times you may have 20 people in the band. And it makes no sense. But I guess that's their little niche, their little thing that separates them. So
I will say the Self Defense Family, those guys reminded me a lot of, there's a band called One Step Closer.
Mm-hmm.
And they were one of the openers last time I saw Silverstein.
Oh, okay.
And vocally and kind of style-wise reminded me a lot of that One Step Closer.
Okay, interesting. We'll have to
You might check them out. They're pretty good, too.
I'm going to check them out. Alrighty, let's talk a little parting the sea between Brightness and me, Eric. So give me your thoughts on what I feel like is their landmark album, their sophomore album, Parting the Sea Between Brightness and Me. And I'll give you a little fun fact here. They actually recorded this whole album, in 5 days. That's a work week, Eric. 5 days. That's incredible. So give me your thoughts on Parting the Sea Between Brightness and Me.
So for our background, we recorded, 3 acoustics and 1 little bass solo type situation?
Yeah, I think so.
How many sessions did that take us?
I don't even remember. Of course, it's a little bit different though too.
I mean, we were messing around a little bit.
Yeah, we were messing around, and you have to try to get permission to get people on campus, and yeah. Which I guess in a way it's kind of replicates a studio atmosphere, but yeah, I get what you're saying though.
So, but I mean, it took us time upon time upon time, and we
didn't
spent hours
have
in
our
studio.
stuff together, man.
Oh no, one of my workers used to say, "I got to get my poop in a group,"
Not the poop.
and my poop was not in a group in
I got
those
to put
days.
it all together here, man.
So, but anyway, these guys had their poop in a group.
Yes.
5 days is a crazy timeline.
It's insane.
We couldn't even get
man.
one song done in 5 days.
Right, exactly, man.
And these guys, I can't remember how many this one has. Is it 12 on this album?
I was thinking 11 or 12, and I was going to look at, see.
They're pretty short, but that being said, it's somewhere in there.
There's 13 songs. There's 13 songs, and it's around 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
That's insane, dude. So you're looking at an average of, whoops, I think I did that wrong. Of about a minute long for each. I mean, that's just, I don't know. I think I did that wrong, but you get what I'm trying to say. Math was never my suit in high school, man, and it isn't now. So that's why I'm stuck behind a computer doing a podcast.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it's insane, and I think couple with the fact that they had their poop in a group, like you said, and working with the producer that they did. I can't remember what his name is right off the top of my head, but I remember talking about that he wanted them to. There's a grasshopper. He wanted them to. wanted them.
You gonna
to,
eat that?
Well, I was actually going to ask you, are you going to eat it? We
I
can
mean,
share it if you want. I mean,
ooh.
he looks fat enough. We could probably split that, man.
Have at thee.
Yeah, the producer, I think, kind of came at it too, where it's like, let's do this in the least amount it takes as we can, because he took the Josh Scoggin approach, man. I don't want to be in here longer than what I need to, because if I stay in here long enough, my mind's going to overthink it, and if I overthink it, then I'm going to destroy the song, and it's not going to be organic. And here you have a organic landmark album, in my opinion. So anyway, back to you.
And I think I agree. It is a fantastic album, and I think in part it is due to that time crunch.
Yes.
Get your stuff together, get in there, and do it. Don't sit there behind the mixing table and go, pulling your hair out like, oh, but this needs to be this, and that needs to go over there, and this needs to be
missing something. It makes me think of. Have you ever seen Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story? You've seen it?
I
So
think
the part where he goes really crazy, he's in the studio, he's got like a huge orchestra and just like random instruments. I mean, he's got some like goats in there, and the song makes no sense. He's all on LSD and everything, so it's just a big jumbled mess. And they're sitting there and they're listening to it, and the song ends and he goes, I'm still missing something, there's something missing. I think I need more didgeridoos. Yes, I'm envisioning an army of didgeridoos. 5,000 didgeridoos. It's like, no, okay, let's not do that. So that's what I think of when you say that.
Yeah, so it's not overproduced, or it's not
Exactly,
overthought like that. And as a second album, I do think it stands as a landmark for them. Mm-hmm. Kind of like Discovering the Waterfront was for Silverstein.
Right.
I mean, so much so that Silverstein, last time I did see them, said they would always play stuff from that album, whether they play it every night or not. Who knows?
Right. Yeah.
But he said, Shane Told said, I will always play something from this album because it is one of our. It's what made us.
But think how much that meant to those guys, man.
Oh yeah,
because that really slapped
that took them
on the
from
map.
this little kind of mini, almost local band to
Right.
international
Right.
fandom and fame overnight almost.
Yep.
And this album, I don't know if it quite to that scale, but it does stand as a landmark for them. I
Yes.
feel too, because this is a very good album, kind of in the same way. So
It at least put them more on the map. Definitely not to the extent of like a Silverstein with Discovering the Waterfront, but in their own right, they definitely stepped up from their previous album.
right, it's I guess more or less it's a stepping stone.
Yes, a big stepping stone.
Right. It takes it's a good solid stepping stone to leap from there.
Right, exactly.
Going forward.
Yep.
And that's what both of these bands I felt like did at that point.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. So, kind of like what we just talked about just a little bit ago, 13 songs. 21 minutes. That's ridiculous. Recorded in 5 days. Who does that? Well, Touché Amoré does. Erik, let's talk about these short lengths of these songs. Mainly, like I said in the beginning of this episode, mainly the first half of their discography, not so much on the last 2 albums, but definitely just looking at the example of Parting the Sea, those songs are so short, man, but it's like, here's the message, get in, get out, and be done with it, minute 49, I'm trying to see, a minute 54, 221. 221 is the max. And if you throw that one out on this album, the longest song is like a minute 50, minute 49. So, I mean, that's incredible, man. So give me some thoughts that are running through your mind there about the lengths of these songs.
Well, it seems like this is going to be a little Silverstein album or talk between us here.
Let's hear it.
So to quote Silverstein, and
we're getting ready for that Silverstein episode. That's
absolutely.
what we're doing.
And then by extension, the Dead Kennedys, because it was a cover that they did actually. And that quote is, "I like short songs."
Yes.
And for me, it's get in, say stuff, get out. It's effective. It's good. Again, talking about getting in there, overproducing, getting your army of didgeridoos, and you're getting pretty wild in the end there.
5,000 didgeridoos.
Because sometimes you get in a really good song, and then, you really get to thinking about it, and you're overproducing in your mind. You're like, it needs something. Whether it be didgeridoos or whether it be a goofy solo or, whatever, that it didn't need to begin with, and now it has it. Not to say that every long song is bad either.
No, for sure.
Coming from a couple guys
There's
who
some
listen
good
to,
ones, man.
What is it? Between the Buried and Me. Especially me being a fan of Colors.
Yeah.
What is that song, like 15 minutes on there?
Answer the Sky?
Yes.
Oh, jeez. It's long.
I used to really love that song. I would play that a lot.
Yeah.
It was back in the CD days. That was one of my main CDs. So, yeah, I mean, just in this realm of things, though, I do like short songs.
Yeah. I personally have found that writing lyrics, I've found it easier for me to write lyrics that are short, sweet, to the point, whereas if I decide I want to write about such and such and I start trying to make it into a full thing, it's like you just either run out of stuff to say or you end up circling and just circling. It's like, this is nauseating for me,
Yep.
And so I personally have found it a lot easier and more therapeutic to write something short, sweet, and to the point, even if it's just 5 lines, and just call it a day, man.
Well, and on their first album, Courage My Love, female-led, kind of, what would you call them? Post-hardcore-ish.
Were they kind of were they almost pop punk, though?
Kind of in that range,
kind of trending towards that.
Yeah, especially their later
pop punk.
Their later albums definitely went more towards pop.
Okay.
But anyway, in their first album, they have a line in one of their songs that says, you can't say it all in one song. And I feel like a lot of people try to get all the words in one song.
Why waste it all in one song, man?
Right. So
yep.
When you can write 20 songs and have them 30 seconds each.
Well, and then on top of that, that's what albums are for, and that's what concept albums are for. Pick about 12 songs and just write a whole album about one thought that you have. It's as simple as that, man. It's as simple as that. Are they still a band? I haven't heard that name in a long time.
The later stuff that I heard here recently is getting kind of poppy for me.
Very poppy.
Yeah.
Too poppy?
A little too poppy for me.
You're too poppy for me.
It's not quite bubblegum sweet pop,
But it's trending there, right? Is that what you're saying? That's what I'm feeling from you, buddy.
More so than their beginning stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Their beginning stuff, they had kind of a post-hardcore musical section. And I remember watching, it was a Vimeo or whatever interview.
Venmo, yeah.
Venmo. There's
was
an
it
N
Venmo?
in there.
No, Vimeo.
Anyway,
I think Venmo's that Cash App or something. I don't know.
Anyway, whatever that thing was back on YouTube back in the day, they took them on there and said, how come you guys don't have any screams in any of your songs? And she looked at both, because they were a 3-piece at the time. They looked at everybody and goes, because none of us can scream.
You don't want to hear that.
Like that was the only thing holding them back at the time. And now it feels like their style and their sound has changed so far from that there's more than that just holding them back at this point.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Interesting.
Now that we've diverged from that
No,
entirely.
I mean, I'm going to have to go listen to that band because, like I said, I hadn't heard that name in forever. And we used to really like that band back in the day. Yeah, I got that one from you, man.
Yeah, we got that one. We were on the ground level on that one.
We're on the ground level. We're on the ground floor, people. Yep. Yeah. Okay, so this question is a little weird. But so I will say is Survived by their third full-length album is my favorite album by Touché Amoré. And that's really tough to say because Parting the Sea is really, it means a lot to me because that's what I found Touché Amoré. That's the first album I listened to. And so it is a super duper ooper close second, man. I'm just making up words here now, But on the original episode on the History of the Chorus podcast, make sure you go check that out. Part 1 and Part 2, Touché Amoré. Josh told me before I told him that this was my favorite album. He told me that he could tell that it was my favorite album when he listened to it. So I'm not really sure like what truly gave it away musically, lyrically. I don't know. When you listen to that album, do you kind of get that feeling as well? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like I said, this is a very interesting. It's a tough question because I wanted to ask it, but I really fought like whether I wanted to put this in the episode or not. Because I'm like, it just sounds really stupid. But then next I'm like, well, it could be interesting. And so anyway, go ahead.
Well, I guess I kind of got that vibe, but I don't know if it was lyrically, musically, or just the fact that is Survived by Productions.
Yeah, and that was the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, well, maybe he thought it was off of that, which I'm not gonna lie, that's where I did get it from. But
right.
Because it's a great name, and it's you go look it up online. Nobody's using it. Well, why not, buddy? Because that's a great name, man. So
just pull that guy right in here. We'll use it.
Yeah, exactly, man. Exactly.
But I don't know if it was like I said lyrically or anything like that. I could feel like it could be your flavor. Everybody's got their flavor, but
delicious.
Like some people like lemon, some people like blueberry.
Ooh, lemon blueberry.
And then there's Curtis who likes lemon blueberry, which is Touché Amoré.
Lemonary. Ooh. Yeah, it's a good album. I really do enjoy it. Like I said, it's really difficult for me to say that it is over Parting the Sea because Parting the Sea is really, really good. But man, It Survived By is a really good album too, man. Yeah. I just feel like once you get past that, there's two good albums after It's Survived By. Stage 4 and Lament. We're going to talk about them here in just a little bit. But it's just, I don't know. It starts kind of going in a little bit different direction. And I question whether their new record label had anything to do with that. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. But before we do, Eric, I got another question to ask you here. A trivia question, buddy. You ready for this?
All right.
Can he go 2 for 2? I don't think he's done 2 for 2 yet. I think you've gone 1 for 2 at least on a couple episodes. I don't think you've gone 2 for 2 yet. We'll have to find that. I might have to go back and look. All right, here's your question. Dun, dun, dun. For $1 million. No. Out of lifelines, nowhere to turn. With a discography full of short songs, Eric, which song is Touché Amoré's longest? You don't have to give me, the length of the song. I just want the name. And we're talking about throughout their discography. So we're including, full albums, EPs, demos, splits, everything you can think of.
There's one I can remember. I was thinking it was getting close to 4 minutes if it wasn't 4 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, man. It is escaping me at the moment.
Ooh. Okay.
What was that song?
Can you at least tell me where it came from? I'm hold off on that because I know what you're trying to do, and I'm almost for it, but I'm afraid that if you try looking it up, it's going to give you the link, and I don't want. Well, I mean, I guess that's okay. So go ahead.
Well, I don't know.
As long as you don't start like Googling all their songs.
What are all the songs?
Give me all of Touche's songs and links. I mean, you're right there on the length of the song. I will give you that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember the name of it, or even more. I can't remember because I think it was on when it was mixing everything together.
Oh, okay,
I was like,
yeah.
Nuts.
I can see that because it was kind of a popular one out of their discography.
Is it the squiggly line?
No.
Okay.
No, that one's only like maybe a minute, barely a minute long.
I was just thinking, I think that's the top one on Spotify when you look them up.
Yeah, that's like their most popular. That's the first one I ever heard. Interesting story while you look that up. If you haven't heard it off of the original episode, the way that I found Touché Amoré was watching a tour vlog from one of my favorite bands of all time, Manchester Orchestra. And if you haven't found out by now, I am in the conspiracy theory that everything is connected to Manchester Orchestra and one Andy Hall from Manchester Orchestra, because it seems like they are in everything. But anyway, they were playing one of those songs. It's kind of like as like a B-roll was playing, they had that song going in the background. And I remember listening to it for the first time. It was just like, what in the world is this? This is so good. So I had to go look it up real quick. I don't remember how I looked it up because that was before the days of like Shazam, and stuff. So it's like you had to go like digging deep to try to find that stuff. And somehow I did. And it was a little band known as Touché Amoré. And I remember looking at the song and going, squiggly line? What is that? What the heck is that? That's what I need to type in on my computer to find it? What is that? Is that a key on my... Oh, it is a key on my keyboard. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's just crazy. Yeah. So, did you find it?
No, and I'm not going to go through every one of their
songs.
Yeah,
please don't. Please don't. Just throw out a guess. I mean, we're at that point where...
Let's go off one of the ones from Lament.
Okay.
Fane.
No.
I know that's a short song, but anyway.
Clocking in at 4 minutes and 8 seconds, an eternity in Touché Amoré's world, is the song from the split EP with Pianos Become the Teeth. Ugh. Is the song Gravity Metaphorically.
There you have it.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's one of my favorite Touché songs. It's a really good one. Okay, so I kind of hinted at it before that question, that trivia question, but let's just kind of get your... I don't want to dig too deep into it. I mean, if you got a lot to say about it, then that's fine. But the final two albums, Eric. So, over the first three albums, they were all together on one record label. Once those three came out, they decided to go with a bigger opportunity. They decided to sign with Epitaph Records. Now, you may hear a little disappointment in my voice. Well, the reason for that is Epitaph nowadays is not what they used to be back when we were in high school. Back when we were in high school, and me and Erik had discussions about this not so long ago. We were naming off some of the bands that used to be on there. They had bands like Fana. They had bands like From First to Last. Escape the Fate was on there for a while too. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones that we were thinking of.
There was a bunch.
What was it? Early November was on there. I remember that. There was just a bunch that were on there, and that was one of the better labels that were out there back in the day. Motion City Soundtrack was on there. That was a good one. Man, that's another band that I keep like randomly thinking of. Is like, man, I need to go back and listen to that. So we used to love that band back in the day, man. But yeah, they used to have some really good stuff. And not that it was terrible when Touché signed on. It was starting to kind of drift, because I remember like seeing, oh, they signed with Epitaph, and they're going to put out their newest album, Stage 4, as, and Epitaph was kind of like, oh, let's go see who's on Epitaph. And you start looking, you're like, okay, interesting. I mean, I remember some of these guys, and I've heard some of these bands before, but a lot of these, I don't know. If you go on there now, have you looked on there lately to see who's on their label?
Mm-mm.
I don't even know what the heck is going on with Epitaph. It's like they have full blown gone off the deep end. Probably gonna piss some people off, but I don't care. The dude from, well, I guess it's just Escape the Fate now, or is it Falling in Reverse? I think it's Falling in Reverse. Ronnie,
yeah.
is he in Falling in Reverse now? Because he was in Escape the Fate.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, like he's on there, and the stuff that he's doing now is just like, I just don't know.
But zombified.
I just don't know, man. I'm just not gonna dive. I'm not gonna waste any more time. If you want to go check it out yourself, go figure out what the hell Epitaph is doing. Go check it out. I'm not wasting any more time on it. But Eric, I beat around the bush. Give me your thoughts on the two latest albums from Touché Amoré. That's Stage 4 and Lament.
So Stage 4 is a lot darker.
Very depressing,
to put it mildly.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to listen to the whole thing like back to back. It's got some good songs on it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, there's some good stuff,
but it is hard to listen to as a whole. I feel like it was meant to be as a whole. But
it is, yeah.
Man, it's
hard.
It is not an easy album to listen to.
It's definitely not one that you wake up in the morning and go, hey, man, I feel like listening to Touché Amoré's Stage 4 today, man.
That's the album to today, I tell you what.
That's the album of the day right there, buddy. Yeah, that's definitely not... Yeah. If
you're in a mood for it...
I guess, man. You got to be in a really dark place, though, I feel like.
I haven't been in a mood for it, but...
yeah. Oof. I mean, I guess
there are a couple good songs on there. Like I said, I will pick a couple off there once in a while that I like. But it's, like I said, I'll just go back to,
Yeah.
Is Survived By or
Parting the Sea.
Parting the Sea, Between Brightness and Me.
Yeah.
I always try to get that whole album in there.
So the deal with, and I think I've told you this before, with Stage 4 is, along with his Survived By album, those are both about his mom, being diagnosed with cancer and terminal cancer, and then Stage 4 comes along, and then the album Stage 4 comes along is more about him dealing with her death, basically. And so it's like, man, I mean, if you are going through a situation like that too, or you just lost somebody, it's really hitting you hard, then yeah, I could see where, you'd be like, I need to listen to this album. I want to listen to this album. I feel like listening to it. But man, if you're just like, going about your day and you're like, life is good, everything's great, I want to listen to Stage 4. And it's like, man, I remember when it came out for the first time, I wasn't super impressed with it. And I felt like, getting on a new record label, and it's a little bit bigger record label than what they had come from. And they kind of changed up their style a little bit, especially vocally, I felt like. He did a lot more kind of like trying to sing on some parts and such. And I get that. But it just didn't hit well for me the first time around. And going back through trying to do the notes on the original episode with Josh, I got through it one time, and I always like to try to listen to these albums 2 times through when we're doing episodes, just so I can really have a good grasp on what I want to say. And I remember getting through the first song and the second try, and it was just like, I can't do this. Like, I can't do this, man. I respect the point he's trying to get across, and I feel for him, because you can definitely tell there's a lot of emotion pouring out through his pen, onto paper. But man, it's just like, I almost feel like this is more just for you, and not really for me, not you, Eric, but like for him, Jeremy, is what I'm saying by you. But yeah, I don't know, man. Oof. It's just a tough one to listen to if you're just not in a place where you're just kind of down and maybe you're missing somebody or whatever. So
Well, I mean, it not necessarily that everybody your mileage may vary. You
right, yes,
everybody's experiences are different, but we do have another band that's done that too. My Chemical Romance did the Black Parade,
true, yeah,
and that being said, the album as a whole, something I would pick up, back in the day and put that little CD back in my CD player and hit play and go.
right,
Now, occasionally I think it literally a song called The Cancer or Cancer. I can't
Cancer.
remember
Yeah, I
which.
think it's just Cancer.
But I mean, there's parts in that one that's like, ooh, yep, that hurts.
It's a knife.
Yeah. But this whole album feels like that knife, and it's just very difficult to listen back to back to back.
Yeah,
And like I said, that again, your mileage may vary. As human beings, we all have different experiences.
very true. Yeah, that's
But-
very true.
Moving on from that,
Yes. What about Lament?
I do like Lament better.
Okay.
It's less in your face. It's not so overtly,
Dark.
this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's not defined as
Okay.
rigidly, I think.
Yeah.
And so it could be a little bit more relatable as a whole. You could take the words in there and go, well, I'm going through a rough time about this over here.
Right.
I know he's talking about death of a family member, things like that. But, my thing over here is relatable enough that his words, relate to me and my experience right now.
Right.
And that being said, it's a whole lot easier to make it through this album.
Yes. Yeah.
So I do like Lament too. It's a pretty good one. But yeah, Stage 4 is going to be a very dark day when you're wanting to listen to that one.
Yes. Very rainy, dark day. Well, and Jeremy came out and said that after Stage 4 was done, it's like, dude, I could write 3 to 4 more albums on the same topic, but and he was able to admit that it's like, why would I do that to myself? It's like I've said what I need to say, and now it's time to move. I have closure, and it's time to move on. And no offense, man, but thank God you did, man. 'cause
Right.
It's like I told Josh, I couldn't take another album of that, man. Oh my goodness.
Well, and I've heard it
Jeez.
said, I don't know, who said it, who quoted it, whatever, but, it said that, artists bleed from their pen. And you can feel this
Oh, for
whole
sure.
album, he bled from his pen as he
for
was
sure.
writing that.
Yeah.
That is his life, his absolute blood that is in that album. And, I mean, no disrespect by it, but
Yeah.
because there is some really great songs on there, and there's some really, but they're very heavy themes.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Whereas, like you said, Lament kind of backs off some more and kind of,
so
lets it
like I said,
breathe.
Lament's a little more relatable.
Yes. Yeah. I felt like when Lament came out, I was kind of like, okay, I think we're kind of taking it up as, I think we're kind of getting back to what we were before Stage 4. So yeah, out of these two, I enjoyed Lament more.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. So cool. Anything else on those?
That's what I got on those two.
Well, let's wrap it up here, Eric, with the usual question. Your favorite album, songs, lyrics, riffs. And I'm going to actually throw a new one out at you.
boy.
Do you have... I mean, if you don't, then that's fine. But do you have a favorite album cover? I know I did. Yeah, I know. I'm springing to this one on you at the last second. I really hate doing that.
Let's see
But
here.
yeah, I just didn't know if you maybe had a favorite album cover to go with it too. And as always, favorite album or album, song or songs, lyric or lyrics, and I'm always open for some riffs, man. I'm always down to jam with that. First one that's coming to my mind is yeah. Sorry, I had to exercise that one. Get off of me.
The album artwork, probably the best that I really do like. The one that really hit home when I saw it, I was like, whoa, that's crazy, is Dead Horse.
Yeah.
The horse laying there with like arrows and stuff all
Oh,
through there.
okay. So
the
yeah,
Dead Horse
you're-
X.
I was wondering if you were talking about that one. Yeah, the 10th
Yeah.
anniversary one. That's still a good one. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty sick, man.
And then, yeah, that's the one that I was like, oh, wow. When I saw that, I was like, man.
Yeah. Interesting
So-
fact, they actually, all their album artworks are done by their guitarist. I can't remember what his name is, but their guitarist, very DIY, man. So I respect that too. I love a good DIY, man.
Oh yeah,
So
keeping it in the band.
keeping it in the band. Yep.
So, let's see here. Lyrics I like. And this actually comes from the MDAM split song
Okay.
called Hideaways.
Okay.
The truth still lingers. You can't expect to understand love when you admire lonely singers.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
So I thought that was a pretty good one.
Was
I
that
sitting there-
original though? Because I know there's.
I can't remember that one.
Yeah, that's the Make Do and Mend, right? You said.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna look
And that's
it
the
up
song
here.
Hideaways.
Okay, if you got some more, go ahead and I'll.
While you're looking at that,
Yeah.
I will say, Savoring from Lament. I never been too subtle. I'm brokering a deal between my head and heart. I love that lyric. Always did.
Say it one more time. I'm sorry.
I've never been too subtle. Brokering a deal between my head and heart.
Yes. Okay. Nice. Very nice.
Let's see. This one comes from Method Act, Parting the Sea. Have you ever wondered why I always drive alone?
Yes.
Same reasons why I never pick up my phone.
Yes.
I have issues that you can't subscribe, and I'm scared to talk to anyone for what they might subscribe.
Yes.
These days, I just try to keep to myself.
Man, that run from uppers and downers to crutch to method act.
Yes.
All three of those run together. Dude, that is a sick run through there. And it ends on method act, and and the way that it just hits there at the very end of method act. So good, man. So good. Great choices, man.
And then the last one, this one actually was kind of an 11th hour type.
There's
just
more.
addition. And it's this one's from Fane
Okay.
on Lament.
Mhm.
I say the wrong thing at the perfect time. That's my signature.
It's my trademark, man. Nice. Cool.
So favorite album, I think by far for me is Parting the Sea.
Easy.
I really like Parting the
It's a
Sea.
good one, man.
It hit. I mean, it's hard. It is hard to choose between really the first three albums for me, because Dead Horse. Whether Dead Horse or Dead Horse X, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Or you go to Parting the Sea, or I keep looking at your sticker says "Long
Is
Live."
Survived By.
Is Survived By. It's-
Quit looking at Long Live.
But
Quit looking at the bassist upside down.
just it's really hard to pick between those. But I do love when I go to Touché Amoré.
Yeah.
Typically, what I go for is I want to listen to the whole album of Parting the Sea.
I gotta go to the grocery store. What album can I listen to real quick?
I mean, it's 18
I gotta drive
minutes
to my
long or
mailbox
something.
real quick,
Yeah.
and it's just down the street. What album can I get through real quick? Yeah,
So
it's a good one, man. It's always a classic.
Parting. Let's see the songs that I like.
Mhm.
We'll do some special mentions, then we'll get into my top three.
Yeah, go for it.
So because there is so many short ones, it was trying to narrow down number,
Yeah.
say 2 and 3 especially. Number 1, I felt like just it hit and it's there for me.
Okay.
But 2 and 3, I was like, oh man, this is difficult because there's so many great little short,
Yeah.
get in, get out. I said the awesome things. And,
Right.
But Artificial from Parting the Sea, Rapture from Stage 4.
That
is a good song.
That's a good, yeah.
Swimming with the Sharks from Dead
Nice,
Horse.
Nice.
So getting into 3. Number 3.
Number 3.
Method Act.
Nice. Very
Not really
nice. No, it's a good one, man.
Well, I was
It's
just
a
going to
good
say,
one.
not really a shocker for anything
Yeah.
there.
What?
Then number 2,
Number 2.
coming in with Fane from Lament.
Okay. All right. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1.
Parting the Sea between Brightness and Me is Pathfinder.
Ooh, okay. Didn't see that one coming. All right.
That song,
I was really,
When I
I was
first
really
went
thinking you were
through
going to
it-
be like squiggly line,
when I went through this,
raised eyebrow thingy.
Yeah. the first time I went through all their discography, that song, I don't know what about it, just hit so good. And I was like, that's fantastic.
Which one is that? Is that
It's
towards
Pathfinder.
is that towards the end of the song or the album? Can't think of.
I mean, it's so short, they're all
Or is
towards
that
the end, right?
Oh no, that's the second. That is the second song, isn't it?
Yeah, right after Squiggly.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Okay, nice man.
So.
Nice, cool. Any riffs?
Not offhand.
He's on the spotlight.
Ooh, the seat's getting warm.
Jeez. Cool, man. That is awesome. I like that. It was a good collection there. All right, Eric. Final thoughts on the band Touché Amoré.
Pretty good. I like them. They're growing on me quite a bit.
Okay.
They are a little bit of a, at times, a little bit of sad boy vibe.
Yes. Yeah, that's one thing we didn't mention. There's some definite sad boy vibes, especially early in their in their discography.
And at times though, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
You get in mood and you're like, you know what, I need some emo today.
Sometimes I do feel like a sad boy.
So yeah, I mean,
I said
like
sad, not bad. So, but that too.
There's a song for that too, I'm sure.
Oh boy. Cool. Alrighty, man. Well, let's head on out of here. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at @IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings. Not just on this show, people, but our other shows as well. You have the History of the Chorus podcast. That's the papa of this little baby podcast right here.
Daddy?
Oh my gosh. Oh boy. Oh jeez. I'm moving on. The Red Right Hand podcast, which has covered all 6 seasons and then some of the BBC/Netflix hit show, The Peaky Blinders. There is also the Throne of the Dragon podcast, which so far has covered season 1, soon to be season 2 of House of the Dragon, and we are currently in our Targaryen family tree series right now, so definitely be on the lookout for a brand new episode of that. Also, while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host at Joshua Lynn Gary. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. And if you want to listen to us and see our smiling faces, but not me and Eric's on this podcast because it's just an audio podcast. But if you want to see me and Josh's smiling faces, head on over to our YouTube page. Just search Is Survived By Productions, and that'll have every episode from all of our shows, every single one. Look at this catalog, it's so huge. Subscribe to the channel, thumbs up the video, and we will see you in the next episode, where we are heading up north. We're packing our bags, getting in the station wagon, making our way up north to the Great White North. The Canadian invasion welcomes you, Eric, to Cancer Bats. See ya.
See ya.